Hi everybody, this is Joshua Kirk back with you guys once again on YouTube, and now it's time for episode 46 of Album of the Day on this snowy Sunday morning. This is one of those reviews where I'm not going to really talk about really random things at the beginning of this video. Today I'm just going to, get on to the review. So today's artist is a singer-songwriter who has won tons of awards for a good reason. She has really, honest lyrics, a really distinctive voice, and just kind of a lot of great talents like that. That was pretty much the reason why she's won all these awards. I'm here to talk about the rather, shy, sincere singer-songwriter Fiona Apple. I'm here to review her debut album, which I think came out on July 23rd, 1996. I'm not totally sure, but I do know it came out in the summer of 1996. Somewhere around June or July or something like that. But anyway, the album is called Tidal, and in case you're wondering why there's that orange sticker on there, the reason for that is because this is a used copy that I got at one of my favorite music stores to go to, Soundgarden. I mean, every chance I get to go to Soundgarden, I go there. Because I love that store. They sell like a bunch of used and brand new CDs. I usually get a few used ones, because I really love to get used ones because you basically, the best part about getting some used CDs from Soundgarden is that you get to purchase more than one there. But anyway, here's the cover, spine, the other spine, and the back. And the songs on here are Sleep to Dream, Selling Girl, Shadow Boxer, Criminal, Slow Like Honey, The First Taste, Never Is a Promise, The Child Is Gone, Pale September, and Carrion. And this is released on two Sony-based labels, Work and Clean Slate. And Work is a label that isn't really in business anymore, but Work was a record label that used to be kind of a Sony-based record label. And I'm going to show you the inside of the album. And there's, give you a closer look of it, but anyway, there's lyrics and stuff like that. Sorry you can't see it very well, but, just the best I can do. And a bunch of photos of Fiona Apple, as well as the lyrics and all the liner notes and stuff like that. And the quality video kind of reminds me of an old school videotape, like a home movie or something like that. There's the CD itself with just a photo of Fiona Apple. So that's the packaging of Fiona Apple's debut album, Tidal. So the first track on the album is called Sleep to Dream, and it starts out with this cool little drum pattern that is played by Matt Chamberlain Matt Chamberlain pretty much plays drums throughout the whole album. So he does so Matt Chamberlain does some really cool drumming on the song, and coming in there's Fiona Apple's really distinctive voice, and then everything else, you know, the piano, the bass, and you know the Chamberlain strings and everything. And the song is you know kind of the situation in the song is kind of about how frustrated you can be about like a really bad relationship. Like there are some lines that kind of represents a situation that can be really frustrating in a relationship. Things like, I've never been so insulted in all my life. And plus, you know, and plus like someone, you know, not caring about you when you're trying to tell them how you feel, or when you try to get them to tell the truth, you know, people just kind of tell you lies instead of the truth. So it's kind of a frustrating situation that, you know, the song talks about. In fact, I think I heard that in an interview, I think Fiona Apple said that this song is kind of inspired by a really frustrating situation she had with her old boyfriend, or something like that. They're like that. And this is one song that has truly, you know, gotten Fiona Apple, you know, a lot of exposure. Like I know the video has gotten like tons of hits, and the video is basically just shows Fiona Apple kind of dealing with insomnia and stuff like that. You know, this is just you know, a great way to open the album, because it really does, you know, show you what Fiona Apple really is all about. Track number 2 is called Sullen Girl, and this is a song kind of about being, you know, frustrated about like being like misunderstood by people. And this song is just so beautiful. I mean, musically, it's just, you know, so hauntingly beautiful. With you know, the ethereal feel of the vibraphone and all the different keyboards and stuff like that. And this song contains like a lot of, you know, cool instruments on it, like things like an octagon, a dulcet tone, a vibraphone, a marimba, and even a pedal steel guitar, which you wouldn't really, you know, think of as being an instrument Fiona Apple would have in her music, but Greg Lees does provide a little pedal steel to the song. And like, you know, this song features things like, there's another instrument on this song called a dulcet tone. A dulcet tone is pretty much like, a dulcet tone is basically this keyboard that sounds, which is similar to like a Celesta or something like that. It's like got these little like metal forks and has the sound totally similar to a Celeste, except not as bright as a Celeste, but sound-wise it doesn't have the brightness that a Celeste has. Track number 3 is called Shadow Boxer, and this is the first single off of the album, and it has like some gospel tinged piano, as well as like kind of this like as well as just, you know, these beautiful little like swirls of Chamberlain, as well as this like echoey tack piano as well. And this is kind of a song about how when you get frustrated over a relationship, that kind of like takes over you to the point where you're considered like to the point where you consider yourself a shadow boxer. And this songwriting is like surprisingly mature for Fiona Apple, because at the time when she did this album, she was only like about 18. But you know, even in her teen years, she manages to write surprisingly mature stuff. although she was still in her teens when she did this album, and it was kind of a first time singer-songwriter and composer, unlike, most people who kind of like tour like excessively and like most people, kind of start like their career sometime around in their 20s or something, but Fiona Apple, was kind of a first timer like at a lot of different things, and when you listen to her songs, you can tell that like she's definitely learned a lot about herself with all the different experiences that she's had in her life, and the song Shadow Boxer really does kind of represent that a little bit. And the video for it is basically like, some was basically some record label executives, like, coming into the studio with some cameras and, like, shot this, like, black and white video for Shadow Boxer. For Shadow Boxer. And still to this day, Shadow Boxer is, like, one of Fiona Apple's, like, most, like, notable songs, for sure. Track number 4 is a song that really did lead Fiona Apple to stardom, Criminal. And this is a song kind of, like, the narrator in the song basically talks about how, like the narrator of the song is basically somebody who has done something wrong and obviously is trying to redeem herself, and like living this day of trying to redeem herself like the next day will never come. So it's kind of a song about kind of how you feel when you regret something. Like everybody kind of has at least kind of, well, not necessarily everybody, but some people have at least one regret. So that kind of leads to them just trying to redeem themselves and, all that. And all that. So like the lyrics are like, so the lyrics on the song are like totally legitimate, because of course, because of course, the narrator's, trying to know the way to be good before there's some hell for her to pay. And like so like it's like totally legitimate lyrics. Not to mention that amazing Chamberlain solo at the end from John Bryan. Like that Chamberlain improvisation at the end from John Bryan is something not everybody talks about, which is weird because the Chamberlain solo at the end is just so addictive and just amazing to listen to. So John Bryan did some incredible Chamberlain work on this song, like especially that little like solo at the end. Track number 5 is called Slow Like Honey, and this is another song that is once again just so hauntingly beautiful. Just a song that just gives me chills when I hear it. Because of how beautiful it sounds musically. I mean, that vibraphone and that Chamberlain just, Berlin just, that song just gives me goosebumps. It's just so beautiful. Cool. And like the lyrics are kind of about like, just everybody kind of has those feelings where they're just moving slow like honey and just heavy with mood. Like this is one song that's truly like, really like, kind of heavy emotion-wise. So it kind of, talks about like old fires that may be like, burning in your life and, things that kind of occur when you're like heavy with like, with mood and stuff like that. Like that. Like, so like, so like the lyrics definitely do have some heavy emotion. And musically, especially the vibraphone and the Chamberlain, the song is just, so beautiful that it will totally stick with you, that for sure. Track number 6 is called The First Taste, and this song has a little bit of kind of this like almost like kind of reggae feel to it, but a little better than reggae in my opinion. But of course, the song has some really cool and interesting elements going on. Like there's a ton of like, tropical hand percussion going on, as well as kind of the jungle feel of the marimba. And so this is just a cool song that you just find yourself just moving your leg to. Like the groove on The First Taste sounds really nice. And it's kind of a song about how, so it's kind of a song about like just feeling obligated to kind of have the first taste in order to get over something. Or something like that, A lot of people kind of have feelings like that. So that's kind of what the song kind of deals with. And this is one of those songs that has an unusual blend of elements, like all that jungle percussion that I mentioned, as well as as well as the use of some slide guitar, as well as the use of a drum loop, a slide guitar, some ethereal vibraphone, some regular piano, as well as this like echoey, delayed tack piano as well, with a bunch of delay on it. So this is totally one of the best songs on the album because the groove sounds really nice, and and like the lyrics seem perfectly honest, just like a lot of the songs on the album. Track number 7 is called Never Is a Promise, and it's just Fiona Apple and a string section. And it's just Fiona Apple's voice, a piano, and a string section. But it kind of makes sense. The production of the song, Never Is a Promise, is pretty stripped back because the key to it is really the lyrics. Because sometimes there are just those songs where the lyrics are just so moving and so powerful that you don't really need a whole lot of elements. All you really need is a couple of elements, so that way everybody can just focus on the lyrics and not have to try to fight to hear it in like an odyssey of instruments or anything like that. So this song really shows you don't need an odyssey of instruments to really move people. And and like this is a song, kind of about how there are always people lying to you, saying you'll never like feel this like low or anything like this, and so this is kind of a song about how people are always telling lies to you, saying you'll never feel low or something like that, and when so when people lie to you, you kind of think to yourself, well, never is a promise, and you can't avoid something your whole life. So this is kind of a song about how it is true, feeling low will kind of occur, despite everybody telling you you'll never feel it. So this song is like totally legitimate, because yes, it is true that never is a promise, and you definitely can't afford to lie. So that's like one of the best lines on this album. Never is a promise, and you can't afford to lie, because that is obviously like a true statement. Like there is definitely a lot of truth and a lot of honesty in Fiona Apple's music, to the point where you can really believe a lot of what she says, pretty much. Track number 8 is called The Child Is Gone, and once again has a rather lo-fi like drum track, as well as the song Sleep to Dream does. Like like the opening drum track sounds as if it was recorded in maybe the 40s or 50s or something like that. And then coming in, there's this rather, kind of jazzy, like gospel-y kind of feel to it. And and let me look at the booklet, see what it's really about. And looking down there are like, some, like, totally like kind of legitimate lyrics in here, like, like there's from the roots of my soul come a gentle corrosion, meaning like out from your soul comes like this kind of part of you kind of forcing you to do something or something like that. And plus, it's kind of about, it kind of talks about feeling like a different person all of a sudden, sometimes you do kind of get those feelings where you feel like a different person, and like the piano and the chamberlain have this real kind of gospel tinge to it, and the pedal steel adds a little bit of like, and Greg Lees's pedal steel does add a little bit of kind of an Americana kind of feel to the song without making it country, but just adding to the rather jazz gospel feel of the song. Track number 9 is called Pale September, and this is once again a song with really nice like a jazz tinge to it with the piano, the vibraphone, and the cello that I'm like hearing in the background of this song. I'm totally sure that's like a Chamberlain sample, because basically what a Chamberlain is, some people don't know what a Chamberlain is, but basically what a Chamberlain is that it's this weird keyboard that samples a bunch of orchestral instruments, everything from strings to flutes to vibes, or even like saxophones and things like that, There's like a ton of different things that a mellotron can sample. No wonder the Chamberlain is used so much by some artists, because it's such an intriguing little unusual instrument to use in music. Sick. So that cello that I'm hearing in the background of Pale September, I'm totally sure that's a Chamberlain. And like, so I would have to say, the song Pale September, along with Sullen Girl and Slow Like Honey, those are like a few songs that are just so hauntingly beautiful, in my opinion. Like those songs are just so beautiful and haunting, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's the song Pale September, with its jazzy piano and vibraphone, as well as like some weird little like Chamberlain sample as well. And then it closes with the song Carrion, and this I think is a great way to close the album, because it's kind of like feels like a closer. Like, if you're gonna close an album with a song, it's gotta kind of feel like a closer. And this song it definitely does close off the album in style. And it's kind of a song about how it won't do any good to like sing no love song, and plus and it won't do no good to go no distance, because like you're dealing with this relationship that obviously isn't like good, and that obviously isn't like good enough for you, and it's kind of mentioning how the feel that you have for somebody kind of decays like the carrion of a murdered prey, because basically what what carrion is that carrion is basically the decaying skin of a dead animal. So it's kind of song, kind of comparing like the feel for somebody decaying, just like carrion. So it has a totally legitimate message to it. And it has John Bryan doing this just amazing a guitar solo at the end in this odyssey of vibraphone and Chamberlins and stuff like that. And I also heard a harp in there as well. So the song Carrion is just so beautiful musically with the Chamberlin, the vibraphone, the guitar solo, and the harp I heard. And plus has a totally legitimate simile as it's comparing the feel for someone decaying just like carrion. So overall, I'm pretty happy with what I'm hearing on this album. It's definitely hauntingly beautiful. So far, the only downside of it is that it's really long. A lot of the songs last about 5 minutes. These aren't 3-minute pop songs. So Fiona Apple really isn't like every other singer-songwriter. Not only is her songwriting more honest, and her voice more distinctive, but also her songs aren't just 3-minute pop songs. In fact, a lot of the stuff on here lasts about 5 minutes. Some near to 6 minutes. So I'm just saying, so far the one gripe I have with this album is that it's really long, to the point where it feels kind of hard to listen to the entire thing because you're like, oh my gosh, when is this album going to be over? But other than that, I'm really impressed with this album, really impressed with how mature of a songwriter Fiona Apple is at such a young age, at about 18 when this album out. At about 18 when this album came out. No wonder she's won all those awards and been turned from a young piano prodigy into one of the country's most talented and really thoughtful singer-songwriter. Because when you think about how you feel a lot, you can become a really good songwriter and learn about yourself more through songs. So I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. The whole reason I left out the 5th star and only gave it 4 stars out, and the reason I left out the 5th star and only gave it about 4 stars out of 5 is because I'm leaving out the 5th star because it's a pretty lengthy album. But I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So I highly recommend checking out Fiona Apple. I highly recommend this album, and I also recommend her second album, When the Pawn, as well, which came out in 1999. That's probably my favorite Fiona Apple album. In fact, I may do a review of When the Pawn one day. But anyway, that's my review of Fiona Apple's Tidal. I'll see you for episode 47.